forces have taken over the power plant and a sector of the city has been blacked out. A work crew has already been dispatched and is en route to the area, but communications are impossible at this time. There are medical and nursing facilities on the outskirts of the city, and they are requesting that power be restored as soon as possible. Proceed to the scene at once, protect the work crew from rebel soldiers, and see to it that the power is restored.
First, we need to locate the work crew.
Roger that!
Public security, we're here to help.
Thanks, you're a lifesaver. There's a switchboard that we need to fix in the sector up ahead, but we're in a bind because we can't get to it in these conditions.
Chief, we've located the work crew. We'll provide an escort for them to the work site.
Understood. Protect the workers from enemy attack.
In order to open this door, you'll need to set the emergency power supply box to on.
Public security, we're here to help.
Thanks, you're a lifesaver. There's a switchboard that we need to fix in the sector up ahead, but we're in a bind because we can't get to it in these conditions.
Chief, we've located the work crew. We'll provide an escort for them to the work site.
Understood. Protect the workers from enemy attack.
In order to open this door, you'll need to set the emergency power supply box to on.
The signal from the car that Hirama was in has been cut off in the next sector over. It's possible that he was attacked by rebel forces. Get over there and provide assistance at once.
Sheesh, more overtime work. All right, then I deserve overtime pay. OT, OT. I demand rations of natural oil.
I don't want to hear it.
We'll stay here and continue our work. You can leave the rest to us.
Search for former Cabinet Minister Hirama's car. The secretary, 2 security personnel, and a personal driver are also with him. Don't let a single one of them fall into rebel hands. When they're located, take them all into protective custody.
Roger.
I've located the enemy. Of Hirama's secretary and personal driver inside the car, both dead of gunshot wounds. Given that they penetrated the walls of a bulletproof car and killed the people inside, I believe they used a large caliber rifle and possibly HE rounds.
It appears that Hirama and his security detail fled on foot. The chances are good that he's still in the vicinity. Continue your search.
Roger.
I swear this old-timer is nothing but trouble.
Looks like someone's already here.
Secure the area and resume your search for former Cabinet Minister Hiruma.
Roger. Looks like Hiruma's already gone.
We found 3 bodies at the scene. The secretary, the driver, and a bodyguard. That means there's a possibility that former Cabinet Minister Hiruma is accompanied by 1 bodyguard.
It's me. A report just came in that a police car that was on patrol was commandeered moments ago by Hiruma and his bodyguard. He's no longer in the sector where you're searching. Come on back here ASAP.
Looks like he doesn't intend to act his age and behave himself.
But how could former Cabinet Minister Hiruma commandeer a police car if he doesn't have any authority?
Because they didn't want to find themselves suddenly demoted after turning him down.
I think it's a bad idea to let people with no authority come into contact with the system. It's a source of trouble.
I've had enough of your ridiculous nonsense. I want you back here on the double. Get going.
Cabinet Minister Hiruma, whose whereabouts have been unknown, has contacted the Bedotada Bay Support Police. He says that he's trapped at the hotel halfway up Mount Bedotada Bay and wants to be rescued. Chief Aramaki has already left for this very same hotel, but because Hiruma used an open channel, it's possible that Konbei's group intercepted the call. Prepare your equipment immediately, proceed to the scene, and rescue former Cabinet Minister Hiruma.
Hiruma's been spotted in the hotel lobby. However, I just received reports of rebel forces heading this way. Get over here on the double. We'll make our escape and take the former cabinet minister with us.
That old fart's a piece of work. It floors me that he demands that someone come get him knowing the situation. By the way, what's Hiruma doing here in the first place?
Waiting for the evil mastermind, I bet.
Best way to find out is to ask the man.
Well, if it isn't Seta, hey, I hear you were developed at Kenbishi too, huh? That makes us all brothers. Come on, let's link up. Let's Uko Charake, okay? I've located the Seta? He's experiencing death now, isn't he?
We won't live forever. No one is immortal. Not even AIs. You guys should know that.
Yeah, I suppose, but we have backups.
You can't back up your individuality. Of course, that's assuming you have individuality.
Remnants of the rebel forces have entered the hotel. I can't hold them off by myself. Get over here ASAP.
Tachikoma, let's get over to the hotel. You go in through the front entrance.
I'll take Hiromo with me to the next floor up. I'll leave the rest to you. Good luck.
years that we stood passively by and waited, our homeland has been gnawed away piece by piece by the Shibashi Kurus with their states, ideologies, concessions, and personal interests. We have no desire to live in symbiosis with an unwilling partner.
That may be, but what you're doing is a crime.
Exactly what I'd expect a government lapdog to say.
I've located the enemy! Time for a strategic withdrawal! Quick withdrawal!
I'm tempted to say you sure took your sweet time, but I suppose I'll overlook it just this once.
Pardon me for asking, but I hope you'll indulge my curiosity. What were you doing in a place like this? Were you waiting for someone?
Some information on the coup came in. I tried to find shelter like the security police manual says, but I came under attack by those damn terrorists in the way. There was nowhere else to go, so I ran here.
You came all the way out here?
Yes, that's right.
Well, that's certainly odd indeed. Actually, my information indicates something else entirely. By any stretch of the imagination, you weren't waiting for Sergei Ignashov, the former Supreme Commander of Russia's Far East Army, were you?
What sort of nonsense are you spouting? How dare you make such an insinuation? I took shelter here because you and your men are totally unreliable, that's all.
Ignashov himself testified that he was planning to meet you here today to hear a report on an important document from you. It's the truth. I'm simply repeating what came out of Sergei's own mouth.
What's this?
The H-88 report.
The H-88 report? What the hell is this thing doing here?
Do you recall the attack on the National Archives about 3 months ago? It was believed that most of the documents stored there were lost. That's why the release of this report to the general public was delayed.
Actually, the most important material still isn't written in this. It looks as though some pages are missing.
Yes, we thought so too, at first. But I assure you that's all of them. None are missing from it.
Impossible.
The perpetrator responsible for the attack on the Archives building seems to have thought so too. That's why they refused to believe the employees when they were told that the document wasn't there. As a result, they trashed the National Archives in search of the H-88 report. But regardless of how long one might look or how much effort is expended in the hunt, it's impossible to find something that isn't there. The time wasted in that search turned into an inadvertent siege, and Section 9 was authorized to step in as a result. It's true that this 8-8 memorandum doesn't contain much in the way of testimony from the mastermind of the rebellion, but that's only to be expected. At that time, General Michiba didn't say anything. He refused to answer any questions that were posed to him.
He what?
But he wasn't the only one who kept silent, despite the fact that everyone who was arrested was sentenced to death for crimes against the state. None of them said a word, not a single person. That explains why the investigation never led to you over these past 20 years. There was nothing to connect you.
You bastard. Watch what you say. Do you have any idea what you're implying?
Of course. You were terrified that the release of the H-88 report would dredge up the fateful incident from 20 years ago and that the investigation would suddenly turn its full attention on you. Am I warm? And you had a dirty little secret that you wanted to keep hidden, didn't you? It was the fact that you conducted illegal real estate deals with the Russian mafia and Ignashov, the former Supreme Commander of Russia's Far East Army. I can see why you wanted to keep that under wraps.
Do you have anything that can prove that?
Yes.
This woman was General Michiba's adjutant back then. Even so, she hadn't been told about any of their ideological work and knew nothing of it, so she alone was found not guilty and set free. In fact, General Michiba entrusted her with secret documents detailing the land titles and money transfers to the dummy accounts, just the kind of paper trail that undeniably proves you're crooked. But disclosing how she came into possession of these secrets would have meant revealing the Seninkai, which General Michiba and the others gave their lives to keep concealed. Therefore, she was never able to go public with any of that information. Besides that, it could have been leaked to the media as some sort of mystery document. Then its value as evidence would have been called into question. This is why the woman decided to keep it quiet all these years.
If these documents of hers are genuine, bring them out! Show me this alleged proof of yours!
Sorry, I can't do that. For starters, I expect that based on the documents she's provided, you'll be questioned on a variety of subjects, such as illegal funds manipulation, corruption, and suspicion of crimes against the state. I also have my own laundry list of questions to ask you regarding the attack on the National Archives. I can't wait to hear your answers. Based on a thorough analysis of your secretary's cyberbrain, which we happened to recover just recently, there's evidence that you had made contact with the group behind the attack. If it's proved that the attack was carried out on your orders, I expect that you and I are going to be seeing a great deal of each other.
And all that annoyance about being forced to prevent my assassination, it was just a...
At Section 9, we aim to please.
So when all is said and done, this whole thing's been going on for the past 2 decades, just like Kanbei said.
That so-called ideology of symbiosis that Michiba presented struck a chord with Kanbei, Kusumoto, and the others. I guess that at some point during the 20 years that followed the huge setback they suffered from losing Michiba, their ideology evolved in the opposite direction, into an exclusivist one.
Chief, in your opinion, what do you think Michiba was hoping to accomplish? What was his ultimate goal?
We do not wish to live in symbiosis with an unwilling partner. These days, when technology is advancing and has made tremendous headway in the extension of life expectancy, and as the population is increasing, everyone is desperately clutching at the same piece of Earth. They want to claim a homeland, and they'll fight over it again and again. However, the constant fighting is also over rights and interests. Those battles are invariably instigated on the whim of the elite.
Unswayed by ideologies or states, the authority to use the land, in other words, the rights to it, belongs simply to those who require the land to survive. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I'd have to guess that maybe the real motivation behind Michiba's thinking ran something along those lines.
When I examined that disc of chitties, I learned something interesting about Sakata. Apparently, he was carrying on the Seninkai's philosophy by sponsoring a study group. Sakata apparently died in Berutarabe 10 years ago, but the group itself still exists to this very day as a commune dedicated to furthering their way of thinking.
Hey, hold on now. For 20 years, a terrorist group has flourished into what's now a huge organization? Don't tell me nothing's gonna happen to those guys.
Beats me. If it's bothering you, I can give you their phone number. Ask them yourself.
They're still using a phone?
Yep, they say the use of writing is forbidden in the group. You can only hand things down orally. Oh, that reminds me. I hear the group is holding a bazaar tomorrow. You might be able to pick up some good natural oil.
No thanks, I'll pass.
There's one other Seninkai that doesn't exist on the net. That girl Shikari who doesn't have a cyber brain. When you take everything into account, she might have been the embodiment of this whole thing.
Oh, so they never found Seta's AI, huh? That's too bad. I guess we'll never get to know our brother now. You know what I think? I bet that Shikari took it with her. When it comes down to it, who was Shikari anyway? Her physical capabilities could match those of a high-output prosthetic body, but was she really human? It so happens that I know the answers to all those questions because Seta told me everything when I linked with him. You're so lucky. Tell me too. Ooh! So that's what it was all about. Boy, I'm sure glad that we're AIs, aren't you? It's a lot easier for us to communicate. Now we have a really great souvenir for the guys who stayed behind at the Section 9 hangar, don't we? Welcome home. Well, did you bring a souvenir? Souvenir! We brought you back a special souvenir. Yay! Where's the souvenir? Where? Now, don't get so worked up. Just be patient. The souvenir is inside our AI. What is it, huh? What is it? A new program or data, maybe? No, it's something completely different from anything we've ever had before. Ooh! Hurry, gimme! Let's synchronize!